What's up everybody? In today's video, I'm going to talk about the things that I wish I could tell my younger self when I first got into bodybuilding. Now, there is a ton of misinformation out there, and which makes it very hard for somebody that's a newcomer. Now, with the rise of social media, there are some people that are putting out great information, but there are even more people that are just putting out BS. So, these tips are the things that I wish I would have known when I first got started, or that I could tell myself, my younger self, 2011 Brandon, when he got started. So first and foremost, I would say to start tracking your intake. And by intake, I mean your food intake. So whether that's either tracking calories or tracking macronutrients, at minimum, do that as soon as you start. Now, I made the mistake of pretty much just eating everything in sight when I was gaining, and then I just basically cut everything out when I started to diet down. So I was very misunderstood when I first started doing that. And then in terms of weightlifting, I really didn't track any of my weights within the first, I would say, year. Really, I only tracked like my squat, my bench, and my deadlift. I didn't track any accessory work, so I would say another tip would be definitely to track every single weight that you lift, whether it's your lat pull down from your lateral raise. Doesn't matter what it is, write a book, keep it down. To go along the same lines with that, another tip would be to stop ego lifting. Now, I was only concerned on like how much my bench press could be for the longest time, or my deadlift, or my squat. And I did get very, very strong, and sure, that might have correlated to a little bit of muscle gain. But in the grand scheme of things in my bodybuilding career, those couple of years that I was really devoted to pure strength probably didn't really help me grow as a bodybuilder. Along the same lines, once again, for those who are just starting out, I would say don't focus on the weight, but focus on the contraction. So for the longest time, like I said, I was just concentrating on moving the weight from point A to point B instead of actually feeling the contraction. And I think that's why my physique suffered for the first so many years. Even though it did grow, I think it could have grown at a little bit more exponential rate when I first started if I was doing it correctly. Now, another huge one that I wish I could tell myself back in from 2011 to 2012 was take time off. Especially people that brand new to the fitness community. They stepped on stage, and next thing they want to do, they want to step on stage the next year or 6 months later. You really need to take time off, especially if you're a new competitor. Now, I did make the mistake of competing 2 years in a row back in 2011 and 2012, and although my physique did change in between that year, I think if I would have taken a little bit more time off in between, that I definitely could have grown a little bit more. That, and I would have spent my prime years, because at the time I was about 19 and 20 years old, and that's when our hormones, our testosterone was a little bit higher than it is now. So I wish I would have spent my prime growth years in a surplus, gaining all kinds of muscle that I might be struggling with a few years down the line. So really, these big things I wish I would have told myself, or I wish I would have known back in the day. And if this is a video that somehow get back to me in the past, Brandon, listen to what I'm saying. But in all seriousness, these things can really help you if you're starting off, especially if you're a young athlete. Focus on your goal. What is that goal? If it's to be a bodybuilder, then you need to train like a bodybuilder, but you need to be smart. So that means keeping track of your food, keeping track of your weights, and that means getting enough sleep, eating the right stuff. So this is all things that you need to do, and especially if you're really getting into it, is taking time off from the stage. So hopefully, these things that I wish I would have told myself, for those of you who are just getting started in the bodybuilding community, take this advice and roll with it. Don't be afraid to take time away from the stage, or don't be afraid, to log all your weights or to track your macronutrient intake, because at the end of the day, all these things are just going to help you in the long run. So hopefully you found this video effective, and subscribe. See you in the next video.